Question. An illegal passing zone is indicated by which of the following? Option number 1. A dashed yellow line. Option number 2. A double yellow line. Option number 3. A dashed white line. Option number 4. A double white line. The answer is option number 2. A double yellow line. Note. Passing is prohibited on two-lane roads in areas marked by a solid yellow line on the right of the center line or a do not pass sign or double yellow lines. Question. Georgia's move over law requires drivers to option number 1. Keep to the right if they are driving more slowly than other drivers. Option number 2. Change lanes or slow down when approaching an emergency vehicle. Option number 3. Pass emergency vehicles on the grass. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 2. Change lanes or slow down when approaching an emergency vehicle. Note. In Georgia, this law requires motorists to move over to the next lane if safely possible. If unable to move over, then slow down below the speed limit and be prepared to stop. Question. When approaching an intersection, if the light changes from green to yellow, you should do which of the following? Option number 1. Accelerate to make it before the light changes. Option number 2. Slow down and be prepared to stop before the intersection. Option number 3. Hit the brakes hard and come to an immediate stop. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 2. Slow down and be prepared to stop before the intersection. Question. If a driver has their arm extended downward, it means that option number 1. They are turning left. Option number 2. They are turning right. Option number 3. They are going to stop. Option number 4. They are going to make a U-turn. The answer is option number 3. They are going to stop. Note. Bicyclists and motorists should use their arms to signal to other motorists when they are going to make a turn and the direction of the turn or when they are slowing or stopping. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. Sharp right curve ahead. Option number 2. Merging traffic entering from right. Option number 3. Two-lane traffic ahead. Option number 4. Slippery when wet. The answer is option number 2. Merging traffic entering from right. Note. Traffic merging from the right. Prepare to allow traffic to safely merge. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. Traffic is merging from the right. Option number 2. Right lane ends ahead. Option number 3. Left lane ends ahead. Option number 4. Narrow shoulders ahead. The answer is option number 2. Right lane ends ahead. Question. Parking is not permitted in which of the following places? Option number 1. An intersection. Option number 2. A crosswalk. Option number 3. On a sidewalk. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 4. All of the above. Note. Stopping, standing or parking is not permitted under the following conditions at any time. On the street side of any parked vehicle. On a sidewalk. Within an intersection. On a crosswalk. Between a safety zone and the adjacent curb. Alongside or opposite any street excavation or obstruction when stopping, standing or parking would obstruct traffic. Upon a bridge or overpass or within a highway tunnel. On any railroad tracks. On a controlled access roadway. In the area between roadways on a divided highway including crossovers. at any place marked by a no parking sign. Question. Regarding traffic circles or roundabouts, you have the right of way in which of the following circumstances? Option number 1. When you are already in the circle. Option number 2. When you are entering the circle. Option number 3. When you are turning out of the circle. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 1. When you are already in the circle. Note: the purpose of a roundabout is to allow the intersection to handle heavier traffic flow without the need for a signal or a four-way stop. When entering a roundabout, traffic laws concerning right-of-way still apply. You must yield to other traffic that is already in the roundabout. You will always enter a roundabout to the right and continue circling until you have reached the roadway onto which you want to turn. When reaching the desired road, you will always exit to the right. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. No deliveries are permitted during certain hours. Option number 2. No large trucks permitted. Option number 3. No black vehicles permitted at night. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 2. No large trucks permitted. Note: trucks are prohibited from entering this roadway. Question. In Georgia, Joshua's law requires option number 1. Additional training for teen drivers. Option number 2. Additional penalties for speeders. Option number 3. Fines for drivers who litter. Option number 4. Fines for drivers who park illegally. The answer is option number 1. Additional training for teen drivers. Note: Joshua's law promotes increased teen driver safety. The highlights of Joshua's law include approved driver education training required to obtain a Class T provisional license at age 16. Approved driver education training required to obtain a Class M instructional permit at age 16. You must be 17 years of age to obtain a Class M motorcycle operator's license. The first stage of the graduated licensing program is a Class C instructional permit. Question. In Georgia, the penalty for texting while driving is option number 1. There is no penalty. Option number 2. $50 first conviction. Option number 3. $150 first conviction. Option number 4. $1,000 first conviction. The answer is option number 2. $50 first conviction. Note: penalties. First conviction, 1 point and fine not more than $50. Second conviction, 2 points and fine not more than $100. Third or more convictions, 3 points and fine no more than $150. Question. This sign indicates there is a circular intersection or roundabout ahead. Option number 2. U-turns are not prohibited. Option number 3. U-turns are permitted. Option number 4. Traffic should not stop. The answer is option number 1. There is a circular intersection or roundabout ahead. These signs may be accompanied by speed advisory plaques that indicate the speed with which you should proceed. Question. Hydroplaning is most often caused by option number 1. Driving too slowly. Option number 2. Driving too fast. Option number 3. Sudden turns. Option number 4. Sudden stops. The answer is option number 2. Driving too fast. Note: hydroplaning occurs when there is standing water on a roadway. At speeds up to 35 miles per hour, most tires will channel water away from the tire, similar to the way a windshield wiper cleans the windshield. As the speed increases, tires cannot channel the water as well, and your tires may start to lose contact with the road and ride over the water like a set of water skis. To prevent hydroplaning, maintain good tires with adequate water channeling thread on your vehicle. Most importantly, slow down when there is water on the roadway. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. You are approaching a zoo. Option number 2. You are approaching a wildlife refuge. Option number 3. Deer crossing ahead. Option number 4. Hunting is prohibited. The answer is option number 2. You are approaching a wildlife refuge. These signs alert drivers in advance of areas where animals, people, and vehicles may be crossing. Question. A school bus ahead of you is stopped with red lights flashing. By law, you are required to option number 1. Do nothing. Option number 2. Slowly go around the bus. Option number 3. Reduce the speed to 15 miles per hour and proceed carefully. Option number 4. Stop as long as the red lights are flashing. The answer is option number 4. Stop as long as the red lights are flashing. Note: when a school bus is preparing to stop to load or unload children, the driver of the bus will activate flashing yellow lights. When these flashing yellow lights are activated, all drivers approaching the school bus should slow down and be prepared to stop. All drivers should pay special attention to children who may be walking along or crossing the roadway. Once the flashing lights have turned red and the stop signs have extended from the side of the bus, it is unlawful for any vehicle to pass the stopped school bus while it is loading or unloading passengers. On a highway divided by a median, cars traveling on the opposite side from the stopped school bus are not required to stop. However, drivers should remain attentive for children walking along or crossing the roadway. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. It is a warning to double check your GPS. Option number 2. Traffic only flows on the left. Option number 3. Right lane ends ahead. Option number 4. Do not drive past this sign. Turn around. The answer is option number 4. Do not drive past this sign. Turn around. You are approaching a one-way highway or ramp. Driving on the highway or ramp in the direction you are traveling is not allowed. Question. When parallel parking on a level street, what should you do after you have finished parking? Option number 1. Straighten the front wheels and leave room between yourself and other cars. Option number 2. Turn wheels to the left. Option number 3. Pull as closely behind the car in front of you as possible. Option number 4. Turn your wheels towards the curb. The answer is option number 1. Straighten the front wheels and leave room between yourself and other cars. Note: to complete parallel parking, you should straighten your wheels and leave as much room as possible between yourself and other cars. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. A traffic signal is ahead. Option number 2. Traffic signals are enforced by cameras. Option number 3. You must stop ahead. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 1. A traffic signal is ahead. Presence of traffic signals at intersection ahead. Slow down. Question. This sign indicates option number 1. You are approaching a stop sign. Option number 2. You have passed a stop sign. Option number 3. You should stop immediately. Option number 4. Traffic can only proceed straight ahead. The answer is option number 1. You are approaching a stop sign. Question. If a vehicle has an orange triangle on the back, it means that option number 1. It is likely to break down and other drivers should be careful. Option number 2. It drives slower than other vehicles. Option number 3. It makes sudden stops. Option number 4. It makes wide left turns. The answer is option number 2. It drives slower than other vehicles. Note: a vehicle with an orange triangle on the back travels slower than other vehicles, and fellow drivers should be mindful of this. Question: when driving at night, if you meet oncoming traffic, you should: option number 1. Use your high beams. Option number 2. Dim your lights until the other car has passed. Option number 3. Flash your lights. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 2. Dim your lights until the other car has passed. Note: to avoid impairing the other driver's vision, you should dim your lights until the other car has passed. Question: a traffic light which has a red light and a green arrow means that: option number 1. Traffic going in the direction of the arrow should stop. Option number 2. You may drive only in the direction of the arrow. Option number 3. You should wait for a green light. Option number 4. None of the above. The answer is option number 2. You may drive only in the direction of the arrow. Note: a green arrow, also known as a delayed left or right, means that you can only proceed in the direction of the arrow. Question: bicyclists who use the road at night should have: option number 1. A helmet. Option number 2. Reflective clothing. Option number 3. Reflective strips on the fender. Option number 4. A front headlight and a red tail light. The answer is option number 4. A front headlight and a red tail light. Note: traffic laws apply to bicyclists as well. When on the road at night, they are required to have a front headlight and a red tail light. Question: if driving on a freeway entrance ramp, you should look for a gap in oncoming traffic by: option number 1. Looking in the side mirrors. Option number 2. Checking your mirrors and turning your head to look over your shoulder. Option number 3. Flashing your lights to alert other drivers that you are entering the freeway. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 2. Checking your mirrors and turning your head to look over your shoulder. Note: when entering the freeway from an entrance ramp, you should look for a gap in oncoming traffic by checking your mirrors and turning your head to look behind you. Question: in which of the following scenarios must you yield the right of way? Option number 1. When you are in a traffic circle. Option number 2. When making a left turn. Option number 3. When driving straight ahead. Option number 4. All of the above. The answer is option number 2. When making a left turn. Note: if drivers approach an intersection from opposite directions, the driver who is turning left must yield the right of way to anyone making a right turn or going straight. Question: if you hear a siren as you are driving down a street but can't see the emergency vehicle, you should do which of the following? Option number 1. Speed up to stay out of its way. Option number 2. Slow down until you see the emergency vehicle. Option number 3. Pull to the curb and wait to see the emergency vehicle. Option number 4. Turn off the street as soon as possible. The answer is option number 3. Pull to the curb and wait to see the emergency vehicle. Note: if you hear an emergency siren but do not immediately see an emergency vehicle, you should pull to the curb until you can determine whether the vehicle is approaching you. If so, wait to re-enter traffic until it passes. Question: when entering a curve, you should: option number 1. Reduce your speed. Option number 2. Increase your speed to complete the curve. Option number 3. Slow down and tap the brakes. Option number 4. Honk your horn as you navigate the curve. The answer is option number 1. Reduce your speed. Note: for safety, the most important thing for drivers to do is to slightly reduce their speed when entering a curve. Question: when entering a freeway from a ramp, a driver should do which of the following? Option number 1. Stop where the ramp meets the freeway and wait for all cars to pass. Option number 2. Accelerate until you can pass all oncoming cars. Option number 3. Drive very slowly on the ramp and then accelerate suddenly when you reach the freeway. Option number 4. Gradually increase your speed on the ramp so that your speed when entering the freeway is roughly that of other drivers. The answer is option number 4. Gradually increase your speed on the ramp so that your speed when entering the freeway is roughly that of other drivers. Note: when entering a freeway where traffic is generally moving at higher rates of speed, you should gradually increase your speed on the ramp. When you enter the freeway, your speed should be roughly that of other drivers. Question: in the car ahead of you, the driver's left hand and arm are extended. This indicates that the driver plans to do which of the following? Option number 1. Turn left. Option number 2. Continue going straight. Option number 3. Come to a stop. Option number 4. Turn right. The answer is option number 1. Turn left. Question: this sign indicates option number 1. Driving in reverse is prohibited. Option number 2. U-turns are prohibited. Option number 3. Left turns are not permitted. Option number 4. Right turns are not permitted. The answer is option number 2. U-turns are prohibited. You cannot turn around to go in the opposite direction at this intersection.